Welcome to AudioCert, where the official study guides are brought to life. Have you ever felt buried under an avalanche of information, struggling to find the crucial pieces that truly matter, especially when it comes to defending your digital world? Well, this deep dive is your shortcut, a guide through the labyrinth of data to extract truly actionable threat intelligence.
Indeed. The EC Council Certified Threat Intelligence Analyst, or CTIA certification, is specifically designed to equip cybersecurity professionals like yourself with the skills to proactively defend against the ever-evolving landscape of cyber threats. It's fundamentally about understanding your adversary better than they understand themselves.
And today, we're setting the stage for Chapter 4 of that certification, data collection and processing. If you want to be truly well-informed about cyber threats, understanding where information comes from and how to get it is absolutely paramount. You can't analyze what you haven't collected right.
Precisely. Without effective data collection, even the most brilliant analysis techniques are, frankly, useless.
Yeah.
This module is the absolute foundation, and it's not a one-time event. It's a continuous, dynamic process of moving from raw, messy data to structured, usable intelligence. Our mission today is to learn how to gather the right data from the right places and then prepare it so that true intelligence can be extracted and applied, giving you a real edge.
Okay, let's unpack this crucial stage of the threat intelligence lifecycle. We're going from raw signals to refined insights, a journey that's, well, probably more intricate than many realize. Hashtag tag check IKelleryR. Fundamentals of threat intelligence data collection. So if we're building a robust foundation for our threat intelligence, it seems the core principle isn't just about how much data we gather, but how relevant and reliable it truly is.
Exactly. The collection of relevant and reliable data is the absolute key to achieving better threat intelligence output. As an analyst, you'll find yourself working in collaboration with various internal security teams, think network security, penetration testing, web application security teams, but equally, you'll need the versatility and the skills to conduct manual threat data collection independently when the situation demands it. It's about being both a team player and, when necessary, a digital lone wolf.
I see. So a good analyst needs to be adaptable. And where does all this data come from? What are the broad categories of sources we're tapping into?
Well, we draw from diverse sources, often categorized by the origin of the information. We talk about human intelligence, or HUMINT, which is information gathered directly from people. Then there's imagery intelligence, INENT, derived from things like satellite or aerial photography. Signals intelligence, SIGINT, which involves intercepting electronic signals. Open source intelligence, OSINT, which is, publicly available information. And social media intelligence, or SOC-MNT, a subset of OSINT that focuses specifically on social platforms. It's a wide net we cast.
That's quite a spectrum of origins. But once you've gathered all this data, it's rarely immediately useful, is it? It's often in a raw, unstructured form.
You've hit on a critical point. Collected data is almost always raw and unstructured. The crucial next step is processing it into a comprehensible and structured form for effective analysis. Without this processing, even the most promising raw data remains just noise, really. A burden rather than an asset. Hashtag tag B, core data collection methods.
So once we understand the importance of quality data and where it might originate, how do we actually go about collecting it? What are the fundamental approaches here?
Fundamentally, we employ three primary methods: passive, active, and hybrid data collection. Each provides useful information that can be leveraged in different ways, depending on your operational context and, crucially, your ethical and legal considerations.
Let's start with passive data collection. What does that entail for you?
Okay, passive data collection is purely based on the analysis and observation of activities within your organization's local boundaries. There's no direct engagement with the adversary or their infrastructure. Think of it like diligently monitoring your own house from the inside. You're observing internal network activities, traffic patterns, system logs. You're not interacting with anyone outside. You're just monitoring your own domain for anything unusual, establishing a baseline. Sources for this would typically include internal forums, internal network traffic data, and system logs.
So no digital poking, just quietly observing your own turf.
Exactly. You're understanding your normal operating environment so you can spot the anomalies when they happen.
And active data collection then sounds like the opposite. Are we actually engaging with external networks or even the adversary themselves?
Well, active data collection involves gathering data from external networks or information systems, which might be under the control of an adversary. It's a key distinction that these information systems aren't always owned by the adversary. They can be compromised victim machines that the adversary is controlling, like a command and control or C2 server. The critical aspect here, which cannot be overstated, is that this involves observation of adversary systems and activities without any legal and privacy breach. It's like discreetly observing a suspicious character outside your property, perhaps noting their movements or tools, without directly interacting or, trespassing. The line between observation and engagement is very carefully drawn.
Right, so you're not breaking laws to get information. You're just being observant in the digital public square, so to speak. And hybrid data collection, that sounds like a blend of both.
It is. Hybrid data collection combines both approaches. It involves collecting data from shared networks, commercial external feeds, information systems, or specific networks built to lure and trap adversaries. Think of it like a shared neighborhood watch. You're monitoring your own property, that's passive. You're observing suspicious activity on public streets, that's active, NDA. Maybe you've set up a sophisticated motion sensor like honeypot, specifically to attract and record anyone trying to sneak onto your digital lawn.
It sounds like combining these approaches, especially with something as specific as a honeypot, could be incredibly clever. I'm curious, how exactly does a honeypot exemplify this hybrid collection?
A honeypot is an excellent example because it's designed to appear vulnerable. Right?
Yeah.
It attracts adversaries. When they interact with it, we're not just passively observing our internal systems, nor are we directly engaging with their live infrastructure. We're actively luring them into a controlled environment.
Okay, so you're collecting detailed data on their methods and tools in a safe way.
Precisely. It's a blend of proactive engagement and internal observation within a safe sandbox. Another robust example of hybrid collection is organizations sharing threat information. If one organization is targeted and shares details with another, that information helps the second organization prepare for a similar attack, leveraging that collective intelligence. Hashtag C, types of data in threat intelligence.
So we have these different collection methods, but the data itself comes in different forms, almost like different stages of refinement, doesn't it?
Indeed. Data comes in many forms, and each has varying utility. Its true value is really only revealed through processing. We typically categorize it into raw data, exploited data, and production data. This transformation process is where data truly becomes intelligent.
Let's start at the very beginning. Raw data. What is that, essentially?
Raw data is the unprocessed, unaltered, and unfiltered form. It's the most fundamental and potentially the most valuable form. It contains basic details like adversary IP addresses, raw network logs, configuration files, network architecture maps. However, it requires significant time and effort for processing and analysis to extract usable information. It's like digging up a raw diamond from the earth. It's full of potential, but needs cleaning and cutting before it becomes useful. It's the starting point, but definitely not the destination.
And after raw data, we get to exploited data.
Correct. Exploited data is raw data that has been filtered out from the large collection, sorted, and maybe initially analyzed by other analysts. It contains technical aspects of the intended adversary, such as initial malware analysis reports, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, IDSPS logs, and preliminary campaign reports. Continuing our analogy, the diamond has been cleaned and roughly cut, but not yet polished for display. It's more organized and begins to show its potential, but it's not yet ready for final consumption or, say, executive decision-making.
So the final stage would be production data. This sounds like the ready-to-use version, the one that truly impacts decisions.
Exactly. Production data is the N-level form of data. It's filtered, thoroughly analyzed, made highly relevant, and ready for distribution and consumption. It's free from raw components and is typically distributed as concise reports for user or customer awareness, making it highly useful for organizational decisions and strategic responses. This is the fully cut and polished diamond, ready to be admired and used, directly informing defensive strategies and business decisions at the highest levels.
So if raw data is the initial chaotic stream, production data is the clear, distilled water ready to drink. What's the biggest mistake organizations make with raw data?
Indeed. And the real insight here is that data isn't intelligence until it's been refined. Raw data is a wilderness of noise. Exploited data is a mapped trail. But only production data is the clear, actionable guidance that truly changes how you defend. The biggest trap many organizations fall into is collecting vast amounts of raw data, but then failing to allocate the resources for its thorough exploitation and transformation into production data. They end up with massive data lakes, but no usable intelligence. The sheer volume can be overwhelming without a clear process, and frankly, the commitment to refine it. Hashtag TD. Types of threat intelligence data collection.
Beyond the general methods and forms of data, it seems there are also different types of threat intelligence collection, categorized by their purpose and how they're consumed within an organization. Can you walk us through those layers?
Certainly. Data collection for threat intelligence can be classified into four distinct types based on its collection, processing, analysis, and consumption: strategic, operational, tactical, and technical. Each serves different organizational needs and operates on different time horizons, from long-term planning to immediate defense.
Let's start with strategic threat intelligence data collection. Who is this typically for, and what's its core purpose?
Strategic threat intelligence data is primarily for high-level strategists and senior leaders within an organization. Its purpose is to understand and predict long-term risks and threats, helping to inform key strategic business decisions. Because it involves massive data collection and analysis over a broad scope, it evolves over a long time horizon. It often requires a sort of socio-political mindset to acquire reliable information, looking at trends rather than individual incidents.
So, understanding global shifts and broad implications, not just immediate attacks.
Precisely. Its collection involves things like geopolitical assessments, gathering information on political affairs, economics, societal interactions, and technology developments of countries. Think changing national trends or localized malware attacks that show broader patterns. Sources for this include government policies, financial documents, newspaper articles, press releases, and journals. It also draws heavily from open source intelligence, or OSINT, leveraging search engines for broad, publicly available information, as well as security industry white papers, which offer rich insights into threat scenarios and defense mechanisms. And importantly, human contacts, or HUMITE, where gathering information through direct human interaction, the reliability is directly proportional to the level of trust with the contact.
That makes sense for building a long-term view. What about operational threat intelligence data collection? That sounds more immediate and focused.
Operational threat intelligence focuses on actionable information concerning specific incoming attacks or events that might be imminent or unfolding. It has a shorter time horizon than strategic intelligence and is used by incident response teams to develop preventive measures. Key information gathered here includes attacker behavior, attack patterns, and likely attack timing. It's about understanding the immediate threat landscape.
So, understanding how an attack might unfold today or tomorrow, allowing for quick adjustments.
Exactly. Collection for operational intelligence includes analyzing activity-related attacks, such as event and activity logs and investigation reports, to correlate them with global threat events or emerging attack indications, like distributed denial of service or DDoS attack patterns. Social media sources are also critical here, monitoring social networks for potential attacks, vulnerabilities, or security issues related to an organization. And importantly, chat room conversations in private groups where threat actors discuss plans, often using slang or hidden meanings. However, any monitoring of such private conversations requires strict adherence to legal advice and approaches to avoid privacy breaches. That's crucial.
And then we have tactical threat intelligence data collection. This feels like it's aimed directly at the defenders on the front lines.
Tactical threat intelligence deals specifically with the tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs, of threat groups. This is arguably the most effective for defending an organization, as it's consumed directly by defensive security personnel like security architects, administrators, and security staff. The immense benefit is its ability to predict an attacker's intention, approach, tools, and techniques, which then allows for specific, proactive countermeasures to be put in place.
So this is the practical, hands-on intelligence for people actively defending systems.
Yes, precisely. Collection involves detailed threat actor group and campaign reports detailing specific attackers and their TTPs. It also includes malware analysis, where information is collected via data feeds, online sources, and analysis techniques like sandboxing, honeypots, spam traps, DNS sinkholes, or specialized tools for unknown malware. And finally, incident reports from other organizations provide valuable insights into past attacks and response tactics, which can directly inform your own defense strategy.
And the last type, technical threat intelligence data collection. This sounds like the most granular and, well, fleeting type of intelligence.
It is. Technical threat intelligence deals with the technicalities of an attacker's assets and infrastructure. This is the most ephemeral type of intelligence because its indicators are valid only for a short time horizon, as attackers can modify technical indicators frequently. It needs constant updating. It's consumed by automated network security devices and endpoint security solutions, often machine-to-machine.
What kind of specific, detailed information are we talking about here?
Content includes very specific details like IP addresses, operating systems, subnet details, domain names of command and control, or C2, servers, generic malware family behavior patterns, and phishing email headers. Collection is performed manually or automatically, often directly from endpoint and network security devices like firewalls and mail filters, as well as event and data logs. A key source here is indicators of compromise, or IOCs, things like malware hashes, MD5, SHA1, SHA256, malicious network patterns, or specific email characteristics. These work directly with IDSCs or firewalls to detect and block intrusions in real time. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll see a clear hierarchy. Strategic intelligence is like studying global geopolitics to understand long-term power shifts, while technical intelligence is scrutinizing the specific make and model of a weapon an attacker used today. Each type informs a different level of defense, from boardrooms to firewalls, creating a multi-layered defense.
So if I'm a security admin, tactical intelligence about TTPs would be my daily bread, helping me understand how to configure my defenses right now.
Precisely. Tactical intelligence is your practical guide for immediate defense. Understanding those TTPs lets you predict and block specific attack vectors, proactively fortifying your systems against known adversary methodologies. It's the playbook for active defense. #2, Threat Intelligence Collection Management.
So we've talked about gathering all these different types of intelligence, but as any good detective knows, a pile of clues isn't useful if you can't properly manage, secure, and validate it. Our next critical step, then, is moving beyond what to collect to how we manage this entire intelligence gathering operation securely and intelligently.
You've hit on a vital point. Threat Intelligence Collection Management deals with the managerial concepts for collecting threat intelligence data securely. It's about ensuring that the entire collection process is robust, reliable, and contributes meaningfully to the organization's security posture, not just adding to the data overload. #A. Understanding operational security, OPSEC, for data collection.
So a core part of this management is operational security, or OPSCC. What exactly does that mean for you as an analyst when you're out there collecting data?
Essentially, OPSC is a crucial risk management process where you, as an analyst, have to flip your perspective and start thinking exactly like the adversary. Your goal is to prevent them from exploiting any sensitive data you might accidentally expose while you're out there collecting intel. It's about controlling organizational data and avoiding its exploitation during collection.
Right.
As an analyst, you're responsible for securely collecting data and, depending on policy, maintaining anonymity during that process.
That sounds a bit like a spy gathering intelligence. You need to ensure your own disguise and communications are secure so you aren't compromised in the process of uncovering other secrets.
That's an excellent analogy. To achieve optimal OPFC for data collection, analysts should follow a structured approach. This includes first identifying critical information within the organization to ensure its privacy. Then identifying possible threats that could arise from the data you've collected or intend to collect. Next, identifying vulnerabilities in your own security infrastructure, like firewalls and IDS that could be compromised during collection from unauthorized sources. You also need to identify the inherent risks involved in data collection itself, and finally, apply all effective countermeasures in place. It's a continuous self-assessment, really.
What are some of those specific security measures an analyst should employ to keep themselves and their organization safe during this process?
To ensure robust OPS, analysts should utilize secure tunneling protocols like SSH or Secure Shell or HTTPS. Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure for data integrity when transferring data from online sources. Using virtual machines or VMs is crucial for accessing and downloading files from untrusted online sources, isolating potential threats. Ensuring firewalls are updated and patched is paramount to block malicious incoming traffic. For confidential data collection, using dark web browsers like Tor browser provides anonymity. Encrypted channels such as a virtual private network or VPN are essential. And for message confidentiality, encrypted email services should be used. All these measures work together to protect the analyst and the organization during the intelligence gathering phase. #B. Understanding data reliability.
So even with great OPSC, the data itself has to be trustworthy. How do we ensure the reliability of the intelligence we're bringing in?
Data reliability is a core principle. Analysts must ensure the reliability of the data collected to achieve better threat intelligence output. This involves understanding various factors that affect data reliability, starting with assessing the relevance of the intelligence sources themselves.
What does that assessment involve specifically?
First, the data must unequivocally come from a reliable source, one that consistently provides relevant and accurate data. Second, and equally important, it must be ensured that this data is not altered during the collection process. Any tampering, whether intentional or unintentional, compromises its integrity and can lead to flawed conclusions.
And what factors can undermine the credibility of an intelligence source, potentially rendering our efforts useless?
Several factors can affect credibility. A lack of authenticity of the data itself, which means it might be fabricated or misattributed. Inaccuracy of the data provided, where the information is simply wrong. Or the availability of incomplete or insufficient data, which can lead to flawed conclusions. Incomplete data can be just as misleading as incorrect data.
Right. It sounds like the collection method itself can influence how much reliable data you even get based on what it's designed to gather.
Indeed, different data collection methods inherently affect the availability of data as per the access level they permit. For instance, a passive method only collects internal and openly shared data, which limits its scope. An active method accesses authorized levels of data only, requiring specific permissions. And a hybrid method, like those using honeypots, provides traps-based collection data, specifically designed to elicit and capture reliable adversary interaction, giving you unique insights you wouldn't get otherwise. This raises an important question. How do you build trust in a piece of intelligence when its origin is murky? A lack of authenticity, for example, can completely derail a defensive strategy, turning your actions into missteps.
So it's not just about getting data, but getting good data, like vetting your sources for a research paper, but with far higher stakes and, well, no room for error. Hashtag tag C, ensuring intelligence collection methods to produce actionable data. So once we're confident in the reliability and the security of our collection, how do we make sure that what we're collecting is actually useful? Not all sources are equally important, right? Irrelevant data can be a real distraction.
You're absolutely right. Not all threat intelligence sources are equally important. Irrelevant intelligence can be more distracting and harmful than useful, wasting precious resources and time. A common pitfall is the utilization of low-cost or free sources, which, while tempting, may introduce additional risks to the organization and compromise the quality of the decision-making process. Therefore, the analyst's focus must be on selecting intelligence sources that provide data that is relevant, accurate, timely, and has maximum coverage for the specific threats you care about. This requires sorting and prioritizing the collected intelligence to align precisely with the organization's specific requirements.
So there must be some key questions an analyst asks themselves to ensure this actionable quality. What are those guiding principles?
There are indeed 4 key questions to ensure that the intelligence data is relevant and can produce actionable threat intelligence. Firstly, does the intelligence belong to the same geographical location as the organization? This ensures regional relevance, as threats can vary geographically. Secondly, does it support the strategic business requirements of the organization? This aligns it with overarching goals, ensuring your efforts contribute to the broader mission. Thirdly, to what extent is information about threat actors' IOCs, indicators of compromise, and TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, useful? This evaluates its practical defensive value, helping you identify what you need to defend against. And finally, what are the broader effects of this intelligence on the organization? This gauges its overall impact and implications, allowing for a comprehensive response. #DD, validating the quality and reliability of third-party intelligence sources.
Given that so much threat intelligence comes from third-party sources, validating their quality and reliability must be absolutely critical. We can't just take everything at face value, can we?
It is a core principle. Threat information is only as trustworthy as its source, so it's absolutely essential to validate the credibility of third-party threat intelligence sources. This validation helps the organization judge the neutrality of the data and diligently remove any potential biases that could distort your understanding of a threat.
What are the key factors to consider when checking the relevance of data from these third parties? It's not just about accuracy, but if it actually helps us.
We assess several factors for relevance. Does the threat intelligence provide greater insight into identified threats and actually change the stakeholders' perception of that threat? Is it actionable, meaning can your defenses actually be enhanced based on this information, and can it reduce reoccurring threats? This is the so what question, really. And is it informative, providing sufficient contextual awareness on the identified threats to inform a comprehensive response? These points are crucial for real-world application.
And what about the source itself? What deeper questions should we ask when evaluating a third-party intelligence provider? This is like choosing a news source. You want to know their editorial process, their funding, and their track record for accuracy.
That's a perfect analogy you should always ask. Does the source refer to its own sources for independent verification of its conclusions? This demonstrates transparency. Who are the authors of the threat information, and what are their rights or affiliations? Who is responsible for the data, And is it funded by another company, which could indicate potential bias or an undisclosed motivation? What is the frequency of publishing and updating the data? Is it current and consistently maintained? And finally, does the quality of the source meet established standards for threat intelligence, like industry best practices for reporting? These questions collectively help establish trust and legitimacy. Tag E, establish collection criteria for prioritization of intelligence needs and requirements.
So once we have reliable, actionable data, we can't possibly act on everything at once. There must be a way to prioritize intelligence needs, especially with limited resources.
Exactly. Prioritization of threat intelligence needs and requirements is absolutely crucial. It helps security analysts to develop new protection mechanisms and mitigate evolving threats effectively. To do this, analysts need to strategically consider two main factors: the frequency and the impact of a threat.
Let's break those down. What do we mean by frequency when we're prioritizing?
For frequency, we consider two aspects. First, the estimated frequency. How often is this particular threat relevant to the organization? Is it a constant low-level hum of activity or a rare but potentially severe spike? Second, the estimated trend. Is the threat likely to increase or decrease in frequency over time? This helps us anticipate resource allocation and plan for future defense.
And impact. How do we measure the potential harm of a threat?
Impact is assessed in three ways. First, functional impact. What is the potential impact of the threat on the ability of the organization to accomplish its critical services? Can it bring operations to a halt? Second, information impact. Does the threat increase the risk to sensitive information, compromising confidentiality or integrity? And third, recoverability effort, which ties directly into business continuity and disaster recovery. How much effort would the organization require to recover from the potential damage caused by this threat in terms of time, money, and resources?
Can you give some practical examples of threat intelligence needs that would require this kind of prioritization in a real-world scenario?
Certainly. Examples include focusing on the TTP's tactics, techniques, and procedures of specific threat actors, such as hacktivists, cybercriminals, or script kiddies, as their methods vary. Another would be DDoS, or distributed denial of service, attacks that disrupt normal functionality by draining resources. These need high prioritization due to immediate operational impact. Or malware, covertly injecting malicious programs to compromise confidentiality, integrity, or availability. For each of these, you'd apply the frequency and impact criteria to decide where to focus your limited resources for maximum defensive effect. #FEF, building a threat intelligence collection plan.
This all leads to the undeniable need for a comprehensive threat intelligence collection plan. What's its ultimate purpose, and what are the key steps to building one that truly works?
An efficient threat intelligence collection plan is vital. Its purpose is to drive intelligence collection teams to reduce organizational risks by providing a clear idea of the operating environment, the specific threats you face, and the overall threat landscapes. It's about narrowing down data collection to specific organizational operational requirements, ensuring you're not just collecting for collection's sake.
What are the key, actionable steps in designing such a plan that sets you up for success?
First, you must design a threat intelligence collection strategy, which involves understanding your operational limitations and clearly defining your areas of interest. Second, understand different collection sources and solutions that truly match your specific needs, rather than adopting every available tool. Third, ensure reliability of both the data and the collection methods, ensuring they consistently provide actionable data. Fourth, align the collected internal and external data precisely to your organization's specific intelligence analysis needs in further stages of the lifecycle. Fifth, normalize the information with industry standards for consistency and interoperability, making it usable across systems. Sixth, store the information securely in an easily accessible infrastructure, ensuring it's protected but readily available. And finally, share the information with other analysis teams within the organization to maximize its value and build a collective defense.
That sounds like a complete life cycle in itself, from conception to practical application.
It truly is. This plan underpins the entire threat intelligence lifecycle, which implicitly flows through distinct stages. A data collection stage, followed by a structuring, storage, and normalization stage, then a processing and exploitation stage, and finally a data visualization stage, which then feeds back into further collection needs, creating a virtuous cycle. A well-designed plan ensures that the data you collect is actually useful, rather than just more noise.
So it's not just about gathering everything, but being strategic, like a skilled chef carefully selecting ingredients for a specific dish, not just buying out the entire grocery store hoping something good will come of it. Hashtag tag tag 3, threat intelligence feeds and sources. So we've talked about the fundamentals of the collection and how to manage that process. Now let's get into the actual stuff we collect. Threat intelligence feeds and sources. Why are these so important to a robust defense?
Building a strong defense system for any organization fundamentally requires strong, reliable threat intelligence, especially about the latest and trending threats. Threat intelligence feeds are essentially the essential components, the building blocks for a powerful defense system. These feeds provide the necessary stream of indicators or data related to potential or evolving threats to an organization's security, giving you an early warning system. ###B. Threat intelligence feeds.
You mentioned feeds. What defines a threat intelligence feed and what are their main types?
A threat intelligence feed is precisely that. A continuous stream of indicators or data from various sources related to potential or evolving threats to an organization's security. These feeds are mainly categorized into three types, depending on where the information originates: external, internal, and proactive surveillance feeds.
Let's start with external intelligence feeds. What kind of information are we talking about here and why is it important to you?
External intelligence feeds include information acquired from globally available sources, completely outside your organizational infrastructure. They provide shared threat information on a global scenario, like widespread malware campaigns, new zero-day vulnerabilities, or geopolitical cyber activity impacting a whole sector. The primary analysis needed here is to determine their applicability and relevance to your existing systems and industry. Sources for these feeds include security journals, threat intelligence groups, public forums, blogs, law enforcement feeds, industry associations, security researchers, and even underground forums where threat actors communicate their plans.
So that's the big picture, global view. What about internal intelligence feeds? This sounds like data we generate ourselves.
Correct. Internal intelligence feeds comprise information acquired from locally available sources, residing entirely within your local infrastructure or system. These are critical because they are generated from your own internal analysis, security alerts, historical incidents, or current data related to your specific local functions and activities. Sources include fraud analysis within your organization, security activity data from your own firewalls and endpoints, mailbox misuse information, human intelligence gathered internally through incident reports, vulnerability information discovered during internal assessments, and sandbox analysis of suspicious files found on your network. This is your first-hand intelligence.
And finally, proactive surveillance feeds. This sounds like a more anticipatory, active approach.
It is. Proactive surveillance feeds include information acquired using real-time assessment of system activities and events. This enables immediate response and allows security teams to build defensive strategies in advance, anticipating possible intrusion attempts before they fully materialize. Sources for these include honeynets, which are networks of honeypots designed to lure attackers, real-time malware forensics, continuous brand monitoring to detect misuse of your organization's brand, peer-to-peer, or P2P, network monitoring for illicit sharing, DNS monitoring for suspicious activity, watch list monitoring of suspicious entities, and continuous deep analysis of infrastructure and application logs.
So external feeds are like getting a global threat report, internal feeds are what's happening in your own backyard, and proactive surveillance is like setting up digital tripwires and motion detectors.
That's a great analogy. Proactive surveillance allows you to anticipate, building a defense before the adversary even completes their attack chain, which is incredibly powerful for preemptive security. It's about not waiting for the attack to happen, but actively looking for the earliest signs. #tag 4EV. Deep dive into specific data collection techniques.
All right, now that we've covered the different types of feeds, let's roll up our sleeves and dive into the specific data collection techniques that threat intelligence analysts use day to day. There's a whole arsenal of methods, from public information gathering to more covert counterintelligence, #tag A, open source intelligence, OSINT. Starting with open source intelligence, or OSINT, this sounds like it's all about publicly available information that we simply need to find and interpret.
It is. OSINT is information gathered from publicly available sources and then analyzed to obtain useful intelligence. It's primarily used for national security, law enforcement, and for business or strategic decision-making. The real power of OSINT is that the raw data is non-sensitive. It's your analysis and correlation that transforms it into actionable intelligence.
What are some of the general categories of sources for OSINT?
The sources are quite broad and accessible. They include traditional media, like newspapers, magazines, television, and radio. The internet is, of course, a huge one, publicly accessible information from social media websites, blogs, groups, forums, and job sites. We also look at public government data like press conferences, speeches, reports, official declarations, and publicly listed directories. Corporate and academic publications such as white papers, journals, and conference handouts often contain valuable technical insights. Finally, commercial surveys for market research and general literature like books and research papers can also yield surprising intelligence. Hashtag 2. Data collection through search engines.
We all use search engines every day, but how do they factor into threat intelligence data collection beyond a casual search?
Search engines play a major role in locating key information about threats and vulnerabilities. They help extract critical details about a target. From an attacker's point of view, search engines can inadvertently reveal organizational loopholes. For instance, a simple Google search might reveal forum submissions by security personnel that disclose the brands of firewalls or antivirus software in use at an organization. Analysts can also use search engines defensively to manage leaked information by requesting search engines to remove deleted pages or information from their indexed cache.
So managing the digital footprint, and you mentioned that analysts use advanced operators, sometimes called Google dorks, to make their searches super precise. Can you give us a sense of how those work without needing to list every single one?
Absolutely. The power here isn't in memorizing every single operator. It's understanding how these simple commands turn a public search engine into a laser-focused intelligence tool. They're like digital crowbars, revealing publicly exposed sensitive data that attackers will look for. Mastering just a few of these can be incredibly illuminating for a defender. For example, the site.operator restricts your search to a specific website or domain. So, site.yourcompany.com confidential would search for the word confidential only on your company's website.
Right.
The filetype.operator lets you search for specific file extensions. Filetype.pdf resume could uncover resumes accidentally uploaded to public servers. And entitled.or can find pages with specific keywords in the page title or URL, which might indicate exposed login portals or configuration pages. For instance, entitled.admin login could reveal administrative interfaces left accessible. These specific queries act as digital keys to unlock publicly exposed, yet often sensitive configurations.
That's a powerful toolkit just within Google. So these techniques can be applied to very specific IT infrastructure like voice over IP or VoIP and virtual private networks or VPNs.
Absolutely. Analysts can use these Google hacking operators for footprinting VoIP and VPN networks. This allows them to extract sensitive information like login portals, configuration pages, or directory keys of VPN servers, for instance entitled login page in text. Phone adapter configuration utility can find exposed VoIP login portals, or filetype.pcf, Cisco group PWD might reveal Cisco VPN files with group passwords accidentally exposed.
And there's even a Google hacking database dedicated to compiling these types of searches.
Yes. The Google Hacking Database, or GHDB, is an authoritative source for querying Google for sensitive information, essentially a compilation of these useful dorks. It works in conjunction with the exploit database, which is a common vulnerabilities and exposures, or CVE, compliant archive of public exploits and vulnerable software. Analysts use the exploit database to find known vulnerabilities, and then the GHDB to locate instances of those vulnerabilities exposed via Google search on the internet. GHDB queries can reveal a wide array of sensitive information left on public servers, such as error messages containing sensitive data, files with passwords, sensitive directories, logon portals, network and vulnerability data like firewall logs, and software version information.
I've also heard of platforms like ThreatCrowd. How does that fit into OSINT for an analyst?
ThreatCrowd is a specialized system for finding and researching cyber threat artifacts. It's a fantastic OSINT tool because you can input a domain, IP address, email, or associated organization, and it returns a wealth of interconnected information, things like associated domains, malware hashes, and even graphical representations of these connections. It also provides threat feeds and crowdsourced threat data, making it an automated way to gather current intelligence on active threats.
We've talked about the surface web, but what about the hidden parts of the internet, the deep and dark web? How do analysts responsibly collect data from there?
Okay, so the surface web is what we all access daily, indexed by search engines like Google. The deep web, however, consists of hidden, unindexed content. Its size is incalculable, containing official government and federal databases, and cannot be crawled by basic search engines. It can be used for both legal and illegal activities, and is accessed by specialized search engines like deeper web. The dark web, or dark net, is a subset of the deep web that enables anonymous navigation, primarily used by threat actors for illegal activities. It's only accessible via specialized tools or browsers like Tor browser, Freenet, or I2P. What's fascinating here is that the deep and dark web, while often sensationalized, contain a trove of information that, when responsibly accessed by analysts, can provide critical early warnings about evolving threats and adversary plans. It's not just for legal activity. It's a legitimate intelligence-gathering frontier for defenders who understand the risks and how to navigate it anonymously using tools like the Tor browser. Hashtag 3. Data collection through web services.
Beyond search engines, what other specific web services do analysts leverage for data collection?
Many web services can be valuable. One key area is finding top-level domains, or TLDs, and subdomains. TLDs and subdomains reveal valuable organizational information such as history, products, departments, and private functions. An analyst will examine these from an attacker's perspective to identify sensitive information that might expose vulnerabilities, often using tools like Netcraft, which specializes in internet security services and market share analysis.
And what about job sites? It seems odd that those could be sources of threat intelligence.
Job sites are often overlooked but can be gold mines of information. Job postings, particularly for IT or security roles, can inadvertently reveal a treasure trove. Things like hardware and software information, network-related details, specific technologies used like firewall brands, server types, OACs, database schemas, network appliances, and even lists of key employees with their email addresses. Popular job sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, and Glassdoor are routinely monitored by analysts for such inadvertent leaks.
That's a pretty big leak of information. What about general groups, forums, and blogs?
Groups, forums, and blogs provide sensitive information about a target, including public network information, system details, and personal employee information. Attackers, and thus analysts, often register with fake profiles to join employee groups where individuals might share personal and company information. They also search these platforms using fully qualified domain names or FQDNs, IP addresses, and usernames. This can reveal an employee's full name, place of work or residence, contact numbers, email addresses, and even pictures that could contain identifiable information.
And social networking sites, or SOSOFCMINT, must be a massive source given how much people share online.
Absolutely. Social networking sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram are used for connecting people and promoting products. Attackers browse public profiles, create fake profiles, and use social engineering to lure victims into revealing sensitive personal and organizational information, such as dates of birth, education, employment, spouses, and company news. Users freely share personal details through their profiles, connections, photos, and group activities, while organizations promote products and offer user support. The analyst's role is to collect this intentionally or unintentionally leaked information to predict threat impact and identify potential social engineering targets.
Are there also lists of known good and bad sites that analysts use to quickly categorize threats?
Yes. Data collection related to blacklisted and whitelisted sites is crucial for preparing custom indicators of compromise, or IOCs, for threat detection. This involves gathering information on blacklisted IP addresses, domains, emails, websites, and DNS entries. Tools like Apility.io, AutoShun, and Cisco Umbrella are used to acquire this information, allowing organizations to filter out known malicious entities and trust known good ones. Hashtag 4. Data collection through website footprinting.
So, moving into website specifics, what is website footprinting? It sounds like digital forensics for a web page.
Website footprinting is an in-depth analysis of a website's source code and components to extract valuable organizational information without triggering intrusion detection systems. By simply browsing and inspecting, an analyst can gather details on the software and its version, the operating system, subdirectories, parameters, file names, scripting platforms, and contact details. Tools like Burp Suite, Zaproxy, and even browser developer tools can be used to examine HTTP headers, which reveal connection status, content type server versions, and technologies like X powered by.
And what hidden gems can be found just by examining the HTML source code and cookies?
Examining the HTML source code can reveal developer comments that might contain sensitive information, web developer or admin contact details, the file system structure, and script types used. Cookies, on the other hand, can disclose information about the software in use and its behavior, as well as the scripting platforms used by the website. These are often overlooked sources of valuable intelligence that can reveal underlying infrastructure.
And what about monitoring the actual website traffic? That must provide real-time insights.
Data collection through monitoring website traffic serves multiple purposes. It helps collect valuable threat information, understand the typical customer base, and can even be used by an analyst to disguise as a customer for social engineering attacks against the adversary. Information collected includes total visitors, page views, bounce rate, live visitor maps, site ranking, and audience geography, all gathered using web analytics tools.
Can analysts also clone a website for deeper offline inspection?
Yes, through website mirroring. This process involves creating an exact replica or clone of a website on a local system, allowing the analyst to browse it offline without interacting with a live server. This provides benefits like finding directory structures and valuable information without sending multiple requests to the web server. It can also be used to create dummy spam websites for social engineering or to maintain real-time backups. Tools like HTTrack Website Copier facilitate this.
That's a powerful technique. Is there a way to look at older, archived versions of websites, even if the content has since been removed?
Absolutely. Extracting website information from the Internet Archive Wayback Machine at https://archive.org is a fantastic resource. This digital library provides open access to archived versions of websites. Analysts can gather historical information, even content that was previously removed from the target website since its inception, allowing them to assess past infrastructure changes or internal functions that are no longer publicly visible.
This is where seemingly innocuous details can be weaponized. Just think about how a simple document property revealing an employee's username could be the first step in a sophisticated attack.
Indeed. Which brings us to extracting metadata of public documents. Metadata is data providing information about other data. Useful information may reside on a target organization's website in PDF, Word files, and other formats. The analyst's goal is to extract valuable data, including metadata and hidden information, from these documents to analyze threat scenarios. This hidden information often includes page titles, descriptions, keywords, creation modification dates, usernames, email addresses, the operating system used, crucial for OS-specific exploits, lists of software, server lists, and authors.
And how can attackers misuse this metadata, turning it into a vulnerability?
Attackers can misuse this information for brute force authentication attempts, using collected usernames and email addresses, or to launch highly targeted social engineering attacks and deliver malware specifically tailored to the identified operating systems or software. Analysts use metadata extraction tools like MetaGoofil and OVCIA to uncover this critical data and understand potential attack vectors. Hashtag tag 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 5. Data collection through emails.
Emails are a constant in our digital lives. How are they used for data collection in threat intelligence?
Emails are a rich source. One method is data collection by tracking email communications. This involves monitoring email delivery through digitally timestamped records, which show when emails are received and opened. Analysts track emails to gather information about a target recipient, helping to identify social engineering attempts and build defense strategies. Information gathered can include the recipient's system, IP, geolocation, whether links were clicked, operating system and browser information, read duration, and even device type. Tools like Email Tracker Pro are commonly used for this, giving insight into how a malicious email might spread.
And what about the email header itself? It seems like a lot of technical data is tucked away in there.
The email header contains crucial information: sender details, routing info, date, subject, and recipient. A detailed analysis of the email header can reveal the sender's actual mail server, precise dates and times, the authentication system used, unique message ID, the sender's full name, and, critically, the sender's original IP address. Different email programs display these headers in various ways, but the underlying information is consistently there for the analyst to extract, often revealing the true origin of a phishing attempt. Hashtag 6. Data collection through WhoLookUp.
Who was lookup? I've used that before to find out who owns a domain. How is that relevant here for threat intelligence?
Who's a query and response protocol that queries databases storing registered users or assignees of internet resources, essentially, domain names, IP address blocks, and autonomous system numbers. These Who's databases, maintained by regional internet registries or RRs, often contain personal information of domain owners, which can be invaluable. The protocol listens on port 43, TCP.
What kind of information does a who's query return, and how would an analyst use it?
A Who's query returns critical details like the domain name, contact details of the domain owner, domain name servers, the network range, net range, domain creation date, expiry records, and last updated records. This information allows an analyst.
The domain name system, or DNS, is fundamental to how the internet works. How do we interrogate it for intelligence, given its critical role?
DNS interrogation is a powerful technique. Data collection through DNS lookup is used to find the IP address for a given domain name and to retrieve various DNS records such as A, MX, NS, CNAME, and TXT records. These records provide crucial information about adversary hosts, their geographical location, and server types. Conversely, reverse DNS lookup obtains the domain name for a given IP address using PCR records, often performed on entire IP ranges to identify associated domains. Tools like UltraTools DNS Lookup and YouGetSignal.com's reverse IP domain check are commonly used.
I've heard of something called FastFlix DNS. What's that and how does it relate to intelligence gathering, especially for hiding malicious activity?
FastFlux DNS is a camouflage mechanism used by botnets and malicious actors to hide their phishing and malware delivery locations. It's a DNS-based proxy redirection technique where a single domain name rapidly shifts between multiple IP addresses, constantly changing its DNS records, making it extremely difficult to block or trace. For an analyst, this means diligently collecting logs of all DNS queries and analyzing them for unwanted inbound or outbound queries, which can indicate malicious activity. Setting policies to restart connections attempting to resolve these malicious domains is a critical countermeasure.
What about dynamic DNS or DDNS? Is that a similar concern?
Dynamic DNS or DDNS is a technique for assigning custom domain names to dynamically changing IP addresses. This is often used by home users, but can also be leveraged by attackers who don't have static IPs. As an analyst, collecting DDNS details and identifying the DDNS service provider and its reliability is key. A compromised DDNS service provider can pose a severe threat to an organization's infrastructure, as an attacker could gain control over their domain names.
And DNS zone transfer. That sounds like a potential vulnerability if misconfigured.
It definitely can be. Think of a DNS zone transfer as essentially downloading a complete phone book or directory of your network's internal structure. Every server, every host name, every IP address within a domain. Ideally, only other authorized DNS servers should ever be able to request and receive this full list. But if misconfigured, it means anyone can simply ask for that comprehensive map of your infrastructure, which is a significant threat. An analyst should collect DNS zone transfer settings from DNS servers to predict possible threats. If enabled, it provides valuable DNS information. If not, it returns an error indicating a more secure configuration. ###date. Automating OSINT effort using tools framework scripts.
Given the sheer volume of open source information, manually sifting through it all sounds impossible. Are there ways to automate OSINT efforts?
Absolutely. Automating OSINT efforts using specialized tools, frameworks, and scripts is essential for efficiency and scale. These tools automate information gathering, collecting basic organizational info like IP location, routing, business details, addresses, phone numbers, email sources, file sources, and DNS information, providing a comprehensive initial footprint.
What are some of the standout tools in this category that analysts rely on?
Maltego is an excellent open-source intelligence and forensics application. It helps analysts visualize complex relationships between people, social networks, companies, websites, and internet infrastructure, like domains, DNS names, and IP addresses, providing a clear visual threat picture. Another great one is OSR Framework, which is a collection of libraries and scripts for OSINT tasks, providing capabilities to enumerate users and domains across over 200 services. It helps with username checking, DNS lookups, information leaks research, and deep web searching, making it an invaluable reconnaissance tool.
What about FOCA? That's an interesting acronym.
FOCA, or Fingerprinting Organizations with Collected Archives, scans and analyzes documents like Microsoft Office, OpenOffice, and PDF files to find metadata and hidden information. It performs metadata extraction, network analysis, DNS snooping, and open directory searches. It's especially useful because seemingly innocuous documents can contain usernames, software versions, and internal network details that attackers can exploit.
And are there tools that help collect and standardize indicators of compromise from OSINT sources?
Yes, GOSINT is a framework for collecting, processing, and exporting high-quality IOCs. It allows security analysts to collect and standardize both structured and unstructured threat intelligence, enriching alert data with confidence, context, and co-occurrence. It's written in Go with a JavaScript front end, making it a robust solution for managing the influx of open-source indicators. Many other powerful tools exist to automate OSINT, streamlining the arduous task of information gathering. This is where the precision of a programmer meets the cunning of a threat hunter. Automating these OSINT efforts allows analysts to sift through vast amounts of public data quickly, looking for those tiny, critical pieces that could reveal an adversary's next move or a vulnerability in their own organization. It turns noise into meaningful signals. ###B, human intelligence. HUMINT.
So far, we've largely focused on digital sources, but a significant part of intelligence has always been, well, human. Let's talk about human intelligence, or HUMINT.
HUMINT is precisely that. the art of obtaining intelligence information from persons through interpersonal communication. Its scope is broad, identifying adversary personnel, their equipment, dispositions, intentions, tactics, strengths, and capabilities. Human can be performed both passively and actively, directly engaging with individuals or subtly observing.
And how do analysts typically collect data through human interaction, particularly focusing on how an adversary might do it?
One of the primary methods is through human-based social engineering techniques. This is a non-technical process of exploiting human behavior to extract confidential information, often unknowingly. Attackers and analysts pretending to be attackers to identify vulnerabilities leverage human nature such as helpfulness, trust, ignorance, fear, greed, or moral obligation. It's about psychological manipulation.
What kind of sensitive information can be acquired through social engineering, and what's the ultimate goal?
Social engineering can yield sensitive information like credit card details, social security numbers, usernames and passwords, operating system and software details, IP addresses, server names, network layout, and even information about security products. The ultimate goal, from an adversary's perspective, is to identify loopholes in human resources and potential attack vectors for unauthorized access, identity theft, espionage, network intrusion, or fraud.
Can you detail some of the common social engineering techniques that adversaries employ, which analysts need to defend against?
Certainly. There's impersonation, pretending to be an authorized person, like a courier or technician, to gain physical access, maybe scan terminals for passwords, search documents, or overhear conversations. Then eavesdropping, secretly listening to conversations, perhaps over the phone or video conference, or reading confidential messages. Shoulder surfing, secretly observing a target to gain critical info, like watching keystrokes for passwords or pick-ins, very effective in crowded places. Dumpster diving, retrieving sensitive info by searching through trash bins. You'd be amazed what people throw out: user IDs, passwords, network diagrams.
Whoa!
Piggybacking, gaining entry into a building with the consent of an authorized person, like asking someone to hold a door because you forgot your badge. Tailgating, gaining access without consent by closely following an authorized person through a secured entrance, maybe using a fake badge or just moving quickly. And reverse social engineering. This is trickier. The perpetrator assumes a role of authority, so employees ask them for information, often by creating a problem and then offering to fix it.
So it's about understanding and exploiting human psychology. What about more direct human methods, like actually talking to people and gathering information consciously?
That leads to data collection through interviewing and interrogation. The purpose here is to gather accurate and authentic information from valuable sources, such as suspects or cooperative sources. The scope involves extracting details of past events and information about people, places, devices, and infrastructure to understand intentions, plans, and future events. These methods are often categorized by customary knowledge based on an analyst's professional experience, and scientific knowledge, which is theory-driven, empirically derived, and based on independent observations in peer reviews.
And are there tools to help with simulated social engineering exercises for training purposes?
Yes, the Social Engineer Toolkit, or SET, is an open-source Python tool for extracting threat intelligence via social engineering. It categorizes attacks like email, web, and USB, targeting human weaknesses such as trust and fear. Another tool is the Speedfish Framework, or SPF, also a Python tool, designed for quick reconnaissance and deployment of simple social engineering phishing exercises to identify internal threats and train employees. #C. Cyber Counterintelligence, CCI.
Cyber counterintelligence, or CCI, sounds like an evolution. We're not just collecting, but actively working against the adversary in the digital space.
That's right. CCI is a defensive technique to gather information about an adversary's capabilities and provide protection against threats. Crucially, it's also effective in providing crucial information about the adversary themselves. Its mechanisms involve proactively established security infrastructure and threat manipulation techniques designed to lure and trap threats. CCI is broadly classified into defensive CCI, which identifies and counters threats before they occur, and offensive CCI, which involves direct interactions with adversaries for threat collection.
And what are some of the key data collection techniques within CCI that exemplify this proactive stance?
One of the most well-known techniques is data collection through honeypots. A honeypot is an information system resource explicitly set up to attract and trap unauthorized penetration attempts. It has no authorized activity or production value, so any traffic to it is inherently suspicious and immediately flagged.
So it's a controlled, safe environment designed specifically to study attackers in action. What kind of information do they yield?
Honeypots serve to prevent and detect attacks, gather detailed information and research logging port access, monitoring keystrokes and understanding their tools, and provide early warnings about emerging threats. They are highly capable of capturing both known and unknown attacks. Information collected includes detailed data on attackers, their resources, and penetration methods. Tools like KF Sensor, which simulates vulnerable services in Trojans, and Honeybee OT are commonly used. KF Sensor, for example, offers signature attack identification, detects Windows networking attacks, identifies unknown threats, and provides real-time detection through advanced server simulation.
Beyond honeypots, what other sophisticated techniques fall under CCI?
Data collection through passive DNS monitoring is another key technique. A recursive DNS server logs responses from inter-server DNS communication, replicating and storing this data in a central database. Analysts use these logs to analyze malicious attempts over the DNS infrastructure, identify DDoS attacks, cache poisoning, malware attacks, and fast-flux DNS-based phishing. It provides real-time observation of malicious DNS changes and helps prevent domain violation and identify exploited sites. Tools like Passive Total are used to gather and analyze this information from various sources.
What about turning an attacker's own infrastructure against them, using their data to learn more?
That's pivoting off an adversary's infrastructure. Web application trackers, while common, also provide information on traffic flow and can be used by both security professionals and attackers. The analyst's tactic is to identify and capture a tracker ID for a potential threat or malicious actor. Then, they use these tracker details to pivot off the threat actor's infrastructure, gathering more information about their resources, goals, and methods. There are two methods: pivot for discovery, where the analyst doesn't know what they're looking for, and pivot for inquiry, where they have a specific objectives and tailored queries. Passive Total is also a key open-source tool here, gathering tracker information from providers like Google and Yandex.
And malware sinkholes. That sounds like diverting a malicious flow.
Malware sinkholes involve diverting malicious IP or network traffic to analyst-controlled sinkhole servers. This counterintelligence technique is used to detect malware and its characteristics, especially given the advanced use of DNS and domain generation algorithms, or DGAs. By redirecting malicious traffic to a sinkhole DNS server, malware is prevented from resolving malicious URLs, effectively neutralizing its command and control. Information collected includes malware activities, network protocols, server configuration, domain names, and the operating system used by the adversary. Sinkholing can be internal, manipulating victim machines within an organization, or external, manipulating victim machines over the internet, often by proactively registering known malicious domains.
Finally, YORA rules. What are those, and how do they help us proactively identify specific malware?
Think of YARA rules like creating a very specific wanted poster for malware. Instead of a vague description, you're detailing its unique digital fingerprints like specific lines of code, unusual file names, or even patterns in its network communication. YARA Array is a multi-platform tool that lets malware researchers write these wanted posters using binary or textual patterns, almost like logical programming. So a rule might say, if you see this specific string A in this particular file size, then this is likely silent banker malware. It allows us to identify and classify malware samples with incredible precision, even new variants. Tools like Virus Total Intelligence and Alien Vault OTX are used to build, test, and share YRA rules with the community, enabling collaborative threat intelligence, ###D, indicators of compromise, IOCs.
Building on YARA rules, let's talk about indicators of compromise, or IOCs. What exactly are these, and why are they so important in a defender's toolkit?
IOCs are pieces of technical data used for building tactical threat intelligence. They are the clues or forensic evidence indicating a potential intrusion or malicious activity in an organizational network. IOCs represent known threats and include things like malware MD5 hashes, specific DNS attack patterns, virus signatures, botnet URLs or domains, and malicious IP addresses. They are a key intelligence input, helping analysts understand what happened during an attack and observe specific malware behavior and characteristics. Monitoring IOCs proactively improves response time and upgrades detection rates, allowing for updated tools and security policies to block known bad actors.
Where do analysts collect IOC data from external sources?
External IOC sources are broadly categorized. First, commercial and industry IOC sources. These include security product vendors like Dell SecureWorks, McAfee, Symantec, and RSA, who provide regular IOC updates to paid customers. Law enforcement agencies such as the FBI Liaison Alert System, FLASH, also release regular IOC alerts. Then there are threat information sharing platforms, or ISACs, like FS ISAC Financial Services and IT ISAC Information Technology. The ITISAC, for example, is a definitive source for security information affecting the IT sector, fostering trusted confidential collaboration among leading IT companies to minimize threats and manage risk.
And what about free open source IOC sources? Those must be valuable for smaller teams or independent analysts.
Free IOC sources are abundant and highly valuable. Open source tools like MISP, Malware Information Sharing Platform, ThreatNote, and AlienVault OTX are excellent. AlienVault OTX, or Open Threat Exchange, is a fantastic collaborative platform where a global community contributes and shares timely, accurate info on cyber attacks. Its pulses summarize threats, target software, and related IOCs, including IP addresses, domains, URLs, and file hashes. MISP is another open-source repository for sharing, storing, and correlating IOCs of targeted attacks, financial fraud, and vulnerabilities. There's also Kacador, Portuguese for Hunter, a tool for extracting common IOCs from text blocks.
There's even a community-driven platform called IOC Bucket. This really speaks to the collaborative nature of defense, doesn't it?
Yes. IOC Bucket is a free, community-driven platform dedicated to sharing quality threat intelligence simply and efficiently. IOCs are developed, reviewed, and distributed by the community, always remaining free and available. This embodies the essential collaborative spirit of cybersecurity, where shared knowledge benefits everyone. Beyond these, numerous other tools exist for IOC data collection, such as Threat Connect and Threat Miner, offering different functionalities to consume and apply these critical indicators. This is your forensic toolkit, essentially. IOCs are the digital fingerprints left at the crime scene. Collecting and correlating them allows you to not only identify active threats, but also to understand the broader campaigns attackers are running. They are the granular details that make tactical defenses highly effective. #BFAX malware analysis.
Finally, as a critical method for collecting threat data, we have malware analysis. Can you briefly explain its overarching role in the threat intelligence lifecycle?
Malware analysis is a fundamental and critical method for collecting threat data, as highlighted throughout our discussion on intelligence types and collection techniques. While we won't delve into the intricate reverse engineering techniques today, due to our focus on collection fundamentals, it's critical to understand its role. Malware analysis is essentially the systematic autopsy of a digital weapon. By dissecting malicious software, we gain unparalleled insight into an adversary's capabilities, their tools, and how they operate, directly informing our defenses and strategies. It's how we understand the enemy's weaponry firsthand. #tag key learning points and recap.
Wow, what a deep dive into the nitty-gritty of getting the right intelligence. Let's quickly zoom back out and reinforce some of those core takeaways.
Absolutely. For anyone aiming to be truly well-informed in threat intelligence, several critical pillars stand out from today's discussion.
We started with the absolute foundation, right? What's the core idea you want listeners to remember about collection?
The foundation of collection. Threat intelligence hinges on collecting relevant and reliable data, not just any data. Remember, it's a continuous dynamic process, a marathon, not a sprint.
And how we actually go about gathering that data, those different postures we can take.
The method spectrum. We covered passive, active, and hybrid collection methods. Think of them as different lenses through which you view the threat landscape, from quietly observing your internal systems to strategically luring an adversary into a honeypot.
Then making that raw data usable, transforming it into something we can actually act on.
Data transformation. The journey from raw data, which is just noise, to exploited data, which has initial context, and finally to consumable production data, which is clear and actionable, is crucial. Data isn't intelligence until it's refined.
We also talked about different levels of intelligence for different stakeholders within an organization.
Layers of intelligence. Remember the 4 types of threat intelligence? Collections, strategic, operational, tactical, and technical, each serving different stakeholders and time horizons, from long-term strategic planning to immediate granular technical defense.
And it's not just about gathering everything, but how you manage that entire gathering operation securely and effectively.
Collection management is key. Effective threat intelligence isn't just about gathering, it's about managing that collection. This involves understanding operational security, OPSC, to protect yourself, ensuring data reliability by vetting sources, prioritizing intelligence needs based on frequency and impact, and rigorously validating third-party sources to remove bias.
And the vast array of tools and techniques we explored today, from public information to very targeted measures.
Diverse techniques, focus goals. We explore the vast arsenal of specific collection techniques. This included public-facing open-source intelligence, OSINT methods, like advanced search engine queries and deep dark web exploration, to the human element in human intelligence, HUNAKI, like understanding social engineering tactics.
and the more proactive defense mechanisms we can employ.
Proactive defense with CCI. Cyber counterintelligence, CCI, offers proactive measures using tools like honeypots, path of DNS monitoring, pivoting off adversary infrastructure, malware sinkholes, and IRA rules. These allow us to understand and counter threats by luring and analyzing them in controlled environments.
Finally, the critical fingerprints of a cyber attack that tell us exactly what we're up against.
Indicators of compromise, IOCs. These technical fingerprints are vital for detecting and responding to intrusions. Collected from both external, commercial-free, and community-driven platforms and internal sources, IOCs provide concrete, actionable evidence of malicious activity.
So it all boils down to being thorough, strategic, and always questioning your sources to ensure you're working with the clearest, most impactful information. That's how you shift from reactive defense to proactive protection. Hashtag tag tag closing note.
Indeed. Mastering data collection and processing isn't just about technical skills. It's about developing a detective's mindset, an insatiable curiosity, and a commitment to precision. You're building the very bedrock of effective cybersecurity, enabling you to see threats not just as they arrive, but as they form.
And that bedrock empowers you to not just react to threats, but to anticipate them, to protect proactively, and to make truly informed decisions. This isn't just about passing an exam, it's about becoming a guardian of the digital realm, someone who can truly translate noise into intelligence. What stands out to you as the most surprising or impactful nugget of knowledge from today's deep dive? Perhaps something for you, the listener, to think about. Next time, we'll shift our focus from gathering to understanding as we dive into the fascinating world of threat intelligence analysis. Until then, keep digging, keep questioning, and stay curious.